All right. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Okta Workflows Online Meetup. I'm Max, and I cover everything education and community at Okta Workflows. Now, the speaker today, we have an awesome speaker. It's Mick Johnson, and he's a senior product acceleration specialist at Okta. Hey, Mick. And the topic today is going to be how to monitor events with Okta log streaming and workflows. Now, just a few quick housekeeping items. So this event is being recorded, and then the replay will be available on exactly the same page after we end the session. And then tomorrow also on the Okta YouTube channel. You'll get a message with the link to both tomorrow. If you have any questions, please post them in the chat, or there's also a Q&A section. So either place is fine. Also, follow our channel on Crowdcast, and then you'll be notified when we go live, and then register for any upcoming events. We usually have at least 2 events every month. And then if you have any ideas for future events, please let us know. My email is in that very first column. So future events, questions after the event, don't hesitate to contact me. And I think that's it for me. So Mick.
Cool.
Let me move off my my slide, and I am now showing your screen.
Alrighty. Cool. So yeah, log streaming. If you're not familiar with log streaming, this is straight from our help.okta.com knowledge base. And log streaming allows you to export Okta system logs to a couple supported platforms that we have currently. Amazon EventBridge, which we'll be going through as an example today, and Splunk Cloud. And so what you can do, we've got event hook eligible events that exist today. And so you can plug those in. And if you're familiar with creating event hooks, you can plug in an API endpoint here and, give it a name, and then, if it's not already available in the Okta connector, or let's say you want to have multiple events go to a particular API endpoint, that's what you can do today with API endpoints and event hooks. Log streaming allows you to, port this over to Amazon EventBridge and then essentially point it to a Workflows API endpoint. And from there, depending if it's like a security event or you're trying to just monitor, maybe you like have a new application that you're monitoring, or there's just something that you're, essentially anything in system log can be listened for with log streaming, which is great. And what I'm going to do today is show you how to set it up in the Okta admin console with log streaming, as well as the corresponding AWS EventBridge, and then from there show you how to point it to Okta Workflows and then build some logic around it. And today we'll be listening for when users are clicking into the admin console, or if they're just accessing any sort of OAuth app. And so let's go ahead and get started. All right, so log streaming, let's go ahead and add a new log stream. So we're going to use AWS EventBridge.
Hey, Mick, sorry.
Yep.
Could you maybe make your screen a little bit bigger?
Smaller? Bigger?
Yeah, let's just zoom. Just zooming. Yeah.
Yeah, zoom out.
Yeah, maybe just. No, sorry. I mean bigger the other way. Sorry.
Like this?
Yeah. Well, let's see what
better?
people say.
Okay, yeah, sorry.
No worries.
Big monitor. I apologize.
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds
All
good.
good?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. All right, we'll call it Okta Workflows demo. Source name, call it the same thing. And so now we got to grab our AWS account ID and AWS region. And so we partnered with AWS, to make sure that this is a secure communication line from Okta system log to their EventBridge. And so I'll go ahead and grab my account ID, which you can grab up here. And if we head back over, go ahead and enter that in. And the region, I think I was in Oregon. Yep. So go ahead and head back. We're in US West Oregon. Go ahead and hit save. Cool. So we've added in Okta. Now that should be sent over to AWS. And what we want to do is, I believe, go to, there we go. So we've got Okta Workflows demo, shows up here. Go ahead and select that, associate with an event bus. This can be, these permissions can be, changed and become very granular depending on your type of organization. Mine's, it's a sandbox, so I'm not too worried. So I'm just going to add it to my organization. Cool. So now we can see status is active. Here's our event bus. Everything looks good so far. All right, so we've got our custom event bus, and the next thing that we want to do is create a rule. And so let's go ahead and, so let's select the correct event bus here. There we go. We'll create the rule. You can just call it Okta Workflows Demo. We've got the event bus enabled here, and we're going to use an event pattern. And so the event pattern is how we're going to use the JSON objects that are sent. And from there, it's almost like filtering out what you want to leverage in these rules. And I'll show you that in just a minute. And so you can set up, sample events just to kind of like see what it looks like. Otherwise, what you can do is use a custom pattern, which is what we're going to do. And I'm actually going to take a peek at my previous one that I created, just to grab that JSON object that we have. So we've got a rule here. And so this, this is the event pattern that we're looking for. So similar to, what you see in syslog, we're taking a piece of that out of there. And so we've got the detail and the event type. And then here, this is where you can see the particular event type that we'll be leveraging. So when a user is accessing the admin app, or, when a token is granted with an OAuth 2 application. So we'll go ahead and just copy this one over, paste it in here, and continue on. And so, there's different target types that you can leverage with EventBridge, AWS EventBridge, but we're going to be using an API destination. And what we'll do, since I don't think I don't even have any on this one, we'll just go ahead and create a new one. And before we can plug that in, we'll hop on over to Okta Workflows and create a new flow. And the event is going to be a API endpoint. So that's, once we save this, we'll get the unique, alias. And for now, we'll just treat it as a public service, just because, as part of the demo. If you're implementing this in production, I recommend using, client token as well. So we'll call this workflows demo. Go ahead and save it so we can see when the data is being sent over here. And to ensure that it's receiving the data, we'll go ahead and turn that flow on. So cool. So now we can grab the endpoint settings from Okta Workflows, Go ahead and copy that. Come back over to creating the rule. We'll go ahead and give this a name, Okta Workflows Demo. API destination endpoint. That's where we plug in the URL that we grabbed from Okta Workflows. The method, we'll go ahead and use post. And then, depending on which events you're listening upon, you may want to, inspect, if you see that you're hitting rate limits in the Okta admin console or from the rate limit dashboard, this is something where you might want to take a look at. But for these particular actions, we don't have to really worry about that. And so we've got the AWS Okta connection set up here. Actually, I think I'll go ahead and just create a new one. So the connection name, we'll just go ahead and call it Okta Workflows Demo, destination. And so this is where, you could add some additional parameters to, secure the transit of this data from EventBridge to Okta Workflows. I'm just going to put in, an API key. We won't be using it today, but we should be able to see it once it comes across. And then if you don't have a role within EventBridge to create these rules, you can create a new one on the fly, kind of like we're doing right now. Or if you already have existing roles within AWS, because I know they get very granular, you can go ahead and just choose an existing role that you have that, if you're using EventBridge for some other processes. And so we'll go ahead and click next, and we'll go ahead and create the rule. Cool. So we've got the rule set up. If you wanted to create the API destination ahead of time, you could have done that as well. This is the info that we plugged in. You can see the ARNs here, as well as the connection ARNs. And so some of this, I'm trying to show you how you can, kind of set this up easily if you want to test it out, see how it works. But if you want to get more granular in how you're, setting these parameters up within API destination or connection, or the rules even, you can read into that a little bit more. This is more of like a high level look at how this works. And so I probably could have waited until I tried to execute some of these actions, but what we'll do is go to my dashboard, try to access the admin app. Now this should generate a syslog event, which then would get ported to our API endpoint, as well as Okta Workflows. If you're super admin within your Okta org, clicking on this chiclet and going to that app also should generate that event. And so those are the two events that we set up within the EventBridge rules. So let's see if I talk slow enough for this to show up in our execution history. Hey, there we go. So what you can see here is, so let's see in the headers if we have that. There it is. So X dash Okta Workflows Demo API ABCDF. You can use custom headers. You can use queries, and all that can be set up within the EventBridge details when you're setting up that API endpoint. Or and then if you want to from there build in some logic just in case maybe somebody has that API endpoint and they're trying to use it for something else. You could parse out some of that data with like an object get multiple, plug that in. Oh, sorry, not the body. Grab the headers, and then like, parse some of those out and build some logic around that. But if we go back and we look at the body of this will look fairly similar to what you've seen when you're setting up event hooks. And it's going to contain, all the details of that specific event. And so we'll see here, we can already see just from like the display message, that this is the OAuth 2 token grant. And if you want to like dig into it more, you've got the target for the user as well as the application. And I guess from there, I can dig into the other one as well. It's going to be fairly similar here. Actor, so that's going to be the person typically. That's going to be the application that you're going to be accessing here for this particular event. And then we can see the outcome result. Let's say there was a failure and you want to listen for failure events. You could have some logic built in that would maybe stored in a workflows table, or you send a Slack notification or a team notification or an email, or a ServiceNow ticket. It's really, you can kind of build your process around this, similar to what you do with any sort of connector action or connector event that occurs. This is just another way to kind of, like I was saying earlier, for events that occur in system log that are not event hook eligible, this is another option for you. And as Okta builds products and we continue to add to the suite of products that we have, OIG, privileged access, ITL, like ILT, we're moving them into system log, and then eventually we'll be building those into the Okta connector. But in the meantime, this is a nice, bridging the gap between that time, so that you can start to build your business process around that new functionality that you have in your Okta org. And I think I went much quicker than I thought it would go. But if there are any questions around how this was set up, or how you might leverage it, I'm happy to help answer some of those.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. This was good. Let me see. I don't see any questions, but please, you can put questions in chat or in the Q&A section.
Yeah, and this wasn't just pulled out of a hat. We do have this as a template. So implement log streaming with Okta Workflows. You can take a peek here, as well. If you're not familiar with Workflows templates, these are use cases and a framework or blueprint that you can use for particular use cases. Maybe that use case fits perfectly. Maybe it doesn't. You just want to customize it or make it your own and kind of like roll that into your own process. That's essentially what Okta Workflows templates are for. If each template has accommodating documentation that kind of walks you. This essentially walks you through, kind of what I just did, where we're using the details here. It tells you how to set it up, configure it in each platform, if it's not just Okta. So in this case, it was AWS, and then how to test that template out. And so it's very easy to add these to your org. As simple as clicking a button, add the template, and that's going to bring you back into your Okta Workflows org with the template there. But again, if there's additional work to be done in these other platforms, you'll obviously need to take that into account. But that is, that's where this came from. Again, if you're new to workflows, you can always check out the homepage. There's a lot of resources here, videos, use cases, templates, as well as these great online meetups that are hosted, and then some documentation around workflows, how-to videos, guides, tips, release notes, what's coming out, and then training.
Very cool. Hey, Mick, so there's I think it's a question related to you, maybe just also just as kind of a comment, but Dimitri is said, so this seems this can be leveraged to assess how users utilizing licenses for Okta integrated application.
Oh, so yeah, I mean, so basically, like if a user's SSOing into an application, there's a certain event that occurs there within system log. It's a part of the telemetry, I think, that goes into that. Is that what you're talking about, where you'd be able to monitor for users that are accessing a particular application?
Yeah, Dimitri, feel free to add a comment if you would like, or more information.
Yep. And so that there's an event that tells you when someone's accessing an application, as long as it's gated by SSO, it's going to show up in system log. The only caveat there is going to be the session times. While Okta session times might be much shorter in duration, let's say it's like 4 hours, maybe log in twice a day. If you think of applications like Slack or Zoom or these applications that you don't really need to auth into, that could almost give you a false negative that they're not really leveraging that application. And so that's just something to consider. But yeah, absolutely. It's definitely, a use case to think about.
Cool. Thank you. All right.
Understands.
All right. Do you, Mick, you can see the questions, right?
Yeah. Yep. So
Okay.
the question
right.
Also, can you see which MFA methods users are using to authorize with Okta? Yeah, I believe that's actually. I believe so. It at a high level, you can certainly look at through the factors API, which factors are enrolled for a particular user. But I do believe we also can see when a user is, I think leveraging a particular factor when authing into Okta. But and any of these questions, or if you're new to Okta, or you're on a starter plan and you're coming up close to your 5, that you're not sure whether to make the jump or not, you're always welcome to come to the Okta Workflows office hours, which we have a link at the bottom of the screen here. It's for it's a community similar to this. It's community based. We welcome workflows customers to come in, talk about use cases, ask questions, or if you just want to observe and be a fly on the wall and see what other customers are talking about and how they're leveraging workflows in their org to get some ideas, that's always welcome as well. And so I encourage and recommend it, unless you don't want to hang out with me, which is totally fine.
Now, Mick, you're cool, so I'm sure people want to hang out with you. But yeah, Mick, yeah. So the link is at the bottom of the screen, and yeah, and as also Mick said, there are a lot of resources. There is a YouTube playlist with, I think, over 160 videos now about workflows, and then there are also tutorials. And I can let me see if I can quickly find a link.
Yeah. In the meantime, I mean, feel free to come to the the community center for workflows on on the Okta website. If you have questions, there's a forum there. To talk to other customers, to talk to Okta employees, such as myself, Max, some other people that are involved with workflows. It is, it's a great resource to have, and it's hearing, learning from you is really how we make the product better. So.
Well, very cool. I don't see any more questions. But feel free, of course, reach out to me if you have any questions after the event. And again, tomorrow you'll get a message with a link to the replay. And Mick, thank you. We should have you back again.
It was great inaugural chat.
Yeah, let's see, first time on Crowdcast. So definitely we should have you back.
First time attendee, long time listener.
Very cool. Awesome. Well, thank you folks for joining us today. And Mick, thank you again. And then we will see you soon again. Bye-bye.
Cool.